Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching another edition of Break the Fake, where we debunk fake news and combat false narratives. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and let's get rolling. Alaska in August, the perfect place for a US-Russia summit halfway between Washington and Moscow and far enough from anyone who might ask tough questions. That's where Trump says he'll meet Putin on Friday. Then in comes Margarita Simonyan, Kremlin TV's chief spin artist, to toss certainty out the window. Quote, "We cannot say with even 50% certainty whether this meeting will take place," she claimed. Translation, it's a coin toss, folks. She follows up with, "All we can do is wait and see," which isn't just about the summit, it's basically the Kremlin's entire governing philosophy. Wait and see if the ruble holds, wait and see if army runs out of soldiers, wait and see if Europe lifts sanctions. For ordinary Russians, it's the soundtrack of daily life. Pensioners waiting to see if payments arrive, conscript awaiting to see if they ever get to go home, everyone waiting to see if things improve or if normal just get quietly downgraded again.
Мы не можем с вами сказать с уверенностью даже на 50%, что эта встреча вообще состоится, а тем более, что из нее выйдет. Будем посмотреть. С одной стороны, тем неприятнее, потому что взрослому человеку не очень приятна непредсказуемость. Это в юности хорошо, когда у тебя есть дети, хочется стабильности. А с другой стороны, тем интереснее. Уж в нашей профессии точно есть чем заняться. Только успевай комментировать. Только успел прокомментировать одно. Ты еще комментарий не закончил, а то, что ты комментировал, уже изменилось на 180 градусов. Удивительное время.
So, will this meeting happen? Maybe. But the beauty of Simonyan's 50% line is it works either way. If it happens, they'll say they made it work against all odds. If it doesn't, they'll say they warned you. In Kremlin politics, you don't have to keep promises, you just have to keep your excuses ready. Vladimir Putin just handed out the Order of Lenin. Yep, that Lenin, to Steve Witkoff, a US Special Envoy. But plot twist, the award wasn't even meant for him. It was intended for CIA Deputy Director Juliana Galina in memory of her son, Michael Gloss, a 20-year-old American who died fighting on the side of Russian troops in Ukraine. A young man who, according to reports, suffered from mental illness. And as expected, Kremlin media rolled out the full tragic spectacle, drowning it in a syrupy talk of international support while tiptoeing around the part where they sent a mentally vulnerable kid into the war zone. Now, this wasn't some clumsy mix-up, it was vintage Putin, a psychological ploy designed to poke, prod, and provoke. By awarding a Soviet honor linked to a fallen American and his CIA-connected mother, Putin isn't honoring anyone, he's throwing a wrench into the gears of American politics, daring them to react. It's not a medal, it's a bait. And the symbolism? Off the charts. The Order of Lenin, the Soviet Union's top honor, handed to someone representing a country that spent 4 decades trying to bury Leninism. And done in the name of a CIA official, no less. Of course, this is nothing but performance art with a KGB accent. Because for the Kremlin, it's not about who gets the medal, it's about twisting history just enough to make it look like the West is somehow clapping along. Back in April, CIA sources made it clear. Gloss's death, while tragic, posed no security risk. There's zero evidence he was recruited by Russian intel. And according to reports, Moscow didn't even know his mother was when they returned his body, which tells you everything you need to know. This wasn't a calculated intelligence coup, it was a case of posthumous PR opportunism. What we're seeing is Cold War nostalgia smash into reality TV. Putin's proving that in today's Russia, even medals are props. One day they're tools of diplomacy, the next day relics of historic friendship, and the day after, tokens handed out to confuse your geopolitical rivals. After Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev and Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan reached an agreement in Washington, Vladimir Solyev, Russia's top propaganda mouthpiece, did what he does best: panic on national television. Instead of acknowledging real diplomatic progress, he launched into one of his signature rants, warning of imaginary NATO bases in the Caspian Sea and hinting at a brand new special military operation against Azerbaijan.
При этом еще надо понимать, что то, что происходит у нас на Южном Кавказе, это очень большая проблема. И Каспий скоро может оказаться в положении, когда там и базы НАТО могут появиться, И это настолько опасно, что надо, если рассматривать с позиций геополитических, может привести к таким последствиям, что это может оказаться не последнее СВО нашего поколения. Поэтому здесь надо включать все возможные методы дипломатии для того, чтобы довести до всех участников, что интересы России надо уважать.
Now, according to Solovyev, who appears to have mistaken a peace deal for a plot twist in a military drama, Azerbaijan is now a threat to Russia. Why? Because it dared to talk to the West. His solution? Moscow must prepare for another special military operation. What kind of operation? Against whom? For what purpose? None of that matters. The point isn't strategy, it's spectacle. For Solovyev, even diplomacy is cause for alarm. Maybe it's time he unplugged for a while and watched something light, preferably animated. Because lately, his vision of the news sounds less like commentary and more like a thriller written by someone who forgot to take their meds. But the good news is this. In the Caucasus, the rational voices are finally drowning out the noise. And no matter how loud the Kremlin's echo chamber gets, facts on the ground are proving stronger than fantasy. Once again, diplomacy is doing what propaganda never could, bringing people to the table instead of the battlefield. Recently, Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko graced us with another geopolitical revelation. This time, he explained why he doesn't believe that Russia is bombing peaceful Ukrainian cities. And his reasoning? Brace yourself, it's airtight. Because Putin told me so. That's a trust me bro defense, now officially part of Belarusian foreign policy. According to Lukashenko, he once asked Putin while Russian troops were already inside Kyiv, quote, "So the capital has been taken. Is the war over?" To which Putin, in Lukashenko's version of events, replied, "Taken? How? The Ukrainians hid in schools and kindergartens. Are we supposed to bomb schools?" And that apparently was the moment Putin revealed his inner pacifist and nobly pulled back his troops to spare civilians. It's basically a Disney movie, but with artillery.
Но разница в подходах Зеленского и Путина все-таки есть. Зеленский заявляет неоднократно, публично, громко, что Украина готова к прекращению огня.
Нет, подождите, мы говорим о воздухе.
Да.
Прекращение огня – это второй шаг, мог быть, или третий. Да. А это хороший первый шаг.
Ну, а Россия не заявляет о готовности прекращать огня, и тем более продолжает бомбить мирные города, мирное население, дети, женщины.
Ну, слушайте, мирные города, мирное население, я в это не верю, потому что у меня был разговор с Путиным, когда они стояли в Киеве фактически. Помните, с севера зашли и стояли в Киеве, а потом вывели войска. Я знаю его позицию. Он как раз, когда я ему задал вопрос по телефону, Владимир, но вы в Киеве, заняли Киев, конец войне и прочее. Он говорит, как заняли? Они же, говорит, спрятались дословно. В детских садах, в школах сидят. Нам что, по детским садам, по школам бить? Я еще ему-то сказал, знаешь, ну война идет, кто его знает.
Ну били и по детским садам, и по церквям. То есть, ну это война жесточайшая с Второй мировой. То есть уничтожается все,
знаете,
целые города.
Одно дело, когда президент говорит, бить по школам, по садам, а я говорю вот о его позиции. В Киеве 2 шага и все. И Зеленский бы побежал оттуда и все. Но они отвели войска, поверив некоторым людям, не буду их называть, пусть они вам назовут, пусть Зеленский назовет, что остановимся, войну закончим, прекратим. Отвел войска. Прекратилась война? Нет. Но дело не в этом. Дело в том, что Путин никогда, он не кровожадный.
Meanwhile, the actual reality in Ukraine, from Kharkiv to Lviv, is that schools, kindergartens, hospitals, apartment buildings have been hit since day one. But in Lukashenko's version of events, Putin is a gentle soul who just wants peace and hugs. His propaganda dressed up as morality, hoping that no one notices the missiles behind the monologue. Here's the thing, Lukashenko's not making an argument. He's just repeating what Putin tells him and calling it a worldview. But the craters in Ukrainian cities are louder than his stories. If he really believes any of it, then maybe the missiles aren't the only things flying blind. And with that, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.